This segment of Naperville Sports Weekly is brought to you by the Daily Herald.
We're here at Naperville Central with girls water polo coach Jeff Plackett. Thank you for joining me.
Happy to be here.
Now, you've been the girls coach for 14 years, been here at Central for 15.
Yeah.
What keeps you coming back?
The kids, they're just they're fun to be around. Regardless of the time of the year, I enjoy walking into my classroom. I enjoy interacting with the teenagers. I've seen them at their best. I've seen them at their worst. Sure. But I enjoy the growth process, the maturation of the not just students but also athletes.
Now, before we got started here, you were telling me about the cohesiveness of this team. When Kayla Cotto says that they're best friends, that's not just
that is
saying.
That is 100% genuine. It just from the start of the season, the tone this year has been different, and we've had, if this is year 14, we've had 13 great classes. I have no complaints about anybody that's ever come through this program. But this group of girls, they are uncommonly close.
Right.
And so, win or lose, come the end of the season. I'll look back on this year and be disappointed for the end just because I enjoy being around them because they seem to enjoy being around each other.
Now, does that make it easier to coach these girls? I mean, obviously wins and losses are great, but when you have a team that's this close, it makes it that much better.
Yeah, I think part of being a head coach, and it's a head coach at any level. So we could be talking, frosh soft, we could be talking varsity. Part of being a head coach is not just understanding the X's and the O's and teaching the X's and the O's, but also then kind of balancing some of the different personalities on the team. And when they get along as well as they have, they're an easy group to manage because they manage themselves. And you can go all the way back to November when they started working out with their strength coach and they started working out with their winter club programs and things like that. They set an expectation for one another that we're all going to work hard to prepare for the season. We're all going to work hard to get along, and they certainly worked hard in preparation for the season, but it hasn't seemed like an ounce of work for them to get along. It's just sort of happened naturally.
Yeah, and obviously the work has paid off. Top 10 all year in the IL Polo.com rankings. And again, having another great season after last year. So how do you manage keeping their egos in check and making sure that they're prepared for every game?
Well, I think if you take a look back at the season, some of those points where we maybe might have started to believe in the hype of ourselves, that they had a couple of humbling games, a couple of losses during the season that we could look back on a loss to Fenwick and say that was a bad loss, but we've learned and grown from that, and a couple of close losses against some very good teams. So we've had the competition that has kept us grounded for the last few months.
And I guess that competition even coming from the Stevenson tournament last week. So taking second place in that tournament obviously is pretty good. I mean, when you think of the teams that are always involved in those tournaments. So how does that prepare you for this playoff run?
What we try to put together during the season is a training schedule, but then also a competition schedule that would mimic sort of the playoff atmosphere at the end of the year and have us playing our best in the middle of May, where we'll schedule good competition in April, but do it with the understanding that we're still training most mornings during the week. So we're playing games in the evenings, and we're nice and tired. But then, if you look at our game schedule, April, we've tried to follow a Tuesday, Thursday, Friday night, Saturday morning pattern.
Sure.
Just because that's the playing schedule that we'll see at sectionals. So we want to mimic that early in the year. In fact, last night for practice we had the captains, draw teams, and we ran an actual game, just kind of an inter-squad game,
Sure.
because we're used to playing on a Tuesday night, and we want to stay in that habit, and we didn't, have an opponent scheduled for last night.
Now, is water polo like other sports in that it has to be a creature of habit in preparing for a match?
I don't know. Just because I'm a fan of high school sports. I attend a lot of high school sporting
Sure,
events in other arenas, but it seems like every sport is so unique
Right.
in their sort of training plan that I don't know who I would compare us to. Even the way the boys program plans and trains for their season is different than the way that we run things for the girls. But like I said, we have a very specific sort of, call it like a 3-tiered approach to the training.
Okay.
that we do during the season. It's something that I remember we may have developed in time for the 2009 season, that we've stuck with for the last couple of years, and where I know that there are times where the girls are going, we can't do one more dribble swim, we cannot practice our 6-on-5 one more time, that it's like just trust in the system that we have in place. We've had results in the past, let's see if we can have results this year.
And you actually just led me right into that, because I was going to ask, where did you develop this system where it's obviously worked in the past, especially last year, but where did this decision to go with this Tuesday-Thursday schedule and kind of play that out?
Well, the Tuesday-Thursday thing just kind of happened naturally, especially this year, because of the inclusion of the Valley schools in the conference. So Tuesday night became our conference competition night. But at the end of the 2009 season, 2010 season, I'm getting my years mixed up. I was fortunate enough, and it's smoke and mirrors, to be named the IHSA Coach of the Year.
Right.
And one of the things that came along with that, and I have no idea if it was connected or if it was just sort of happenstance, I got invited to Southern California All Sports Clinic.
Oh, okay.
And so in the middle of January, I found myself sitting in a hotel conference room in Irvine, California with the Olympic coaching staff.
Yeah, I'm not
And
complaining.
no. And, coming from the Chicago area, it was myself and one other guy from the Chicago area. And they're going, well, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah. Right.
And so, I had, 2 days in a room with, 25 coaches from around the country, and it was just sitting and spitballing, well, here's what we do, here's what we do, here's what we do. I think I took 2 legal pads with me to jot down a couple of notes and filled them all.
Yeah.
And so, we started even by talking about training philosophies and big picture stuff, then right down to the day-to-day and drills for this and drills for that, and if you need to improve this kind of shooting. So, just absorbed everything.
Wow.
So it was, not gonna lie to you, it's an intimidating experience when you walk in and, Terry Schroeder is standing in front of you. He was the men's Olympic coach at the time, the head coach at Pepperdine, and he is actually like the sculpted body that's in front of the LA Coliseum. And here's me, this 29, 30-year-old guy from Chicago, writing down everything he's saying to me. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So getting to this team now, obviously, you finished up the regular season last week, so now you're getting ready for this postseason run. Mm-hmm. How does this team look and feel compared to last year's team that may have snuck up on people?
I think in their confidence, and it's confidence in themselves. I think as a coaching staff last year, we knew what they were capable of at the end of the season. It was just a question of whether or not they knew what they were capable of. We take a look back at last year, and I would say that there are 3 things that were really key to the end of the season that we had. First was Faith looked phenomenal in goal last year, all through sectionals. But again, we have a specific goalie training package that we do with her that's designed to have her playing and feeling her best at the end of the year. The other one was we got some great defense out of Jennifer Oliver. So when you get into a game against a team like Sandburg in a semifinal that's got a couple of D1 players and everybody is going, oh, Naperville Central is going to bow out this year on Friday night, and we're able to rotate somebody like Jennifer Oliver, who hasn't been asked to defend in the past, into cover an all-state center.
Right.
She did a great job. And then the third one was, I think, a conversation that I had with Kayla. It was halftime of the sectional final game, and she got out and she was incredibly frustrated as we were switching ends, and she's going, I can't be in set, I'm not, I don't feel like and I just stopped her and said, look at the scoreboard right now. And I'll never forget the conversation. What's the score? And she says it's 3-2. And I'm telling you that you feel like I'm not playing my best, and we're still winning right now.
Yeah.
So get back in and give me 2 quarters that are your best, and boy, I can't wait to see how the end of the game works out. So just getting everybody calmed down and understand that, look, there are going to be close games, but just have faith in your teammates, have faith in the system, and is it funny to say have faith in faith? I mean, Faith was doing a great job. Her passes were on point. Our counterattacks looked good. So.
And talking before we got going here, you mentioned that Faith is now, again, playing at her best at the right time. So having her in goal at the right time has got to be a key for this team to make another deep run, right? Just
so steady. What you need is a collection of athletes who are not going to be intimidated by the moment. And especially your goalie, because let's be honest, the goalie spends a majority of the game by themselves. So when you're alone that much, you got plenty of time to think.
Sure.
And so it seems bizarre to say you want somebody who's capable of turning off their brain and just playing. Instead, don't overthink things.
Yeah.
You know what you're supposed to do, and understand your angles. Listen to your coaches as they guide the counterattack, and that's what she does.
One more question before we wrap this up. I want to ask. I didn't get a chance to talk to Kayla about it, but she set the school record last year as a junior for most goals in a season. This year, she's having another incredible year. So when you have that kind of production coming from a junior last year and now as a senior, the leadership, the roles that she's taken on, especially with Emily and Allie, how do you feel about this offense and where it can go late into the year here?
We go into a season thinking that if we're going to make a real deep postseason run, that our leading scorer, we're going to need somebody who goes over 100 goals on the season. 140 was absolutely unbelievable.
Right.
Where, say somebody had just asked me off to the side, maybe around like the end of April, hey, what's the record for? And I even remember telling it with somebody's dad, the record is 134. She's really going to have to turn it up if she wants that record. And then all of a sudden, she's scoring like 7-8 goals a game.
Right.
For the last couple of weeks of the season, finishes with 140. When you remove an Abby Kurth, from the record book, Abby was the Illinois Player of the Year in 2012, 2-time captain at Arizona State. She's playing in the NCAA tournament this weekend. I mean, that was a real special run. It was a real special run that Kayla had at the end of the year. But not only do you need somebody who's going to go over 100, you've also got to have probably your second score be somewhere in the neighborhood of like 60, 65. And then you need to have a couple of other, your third and fourth score probably need to be sneaking somewhere in the 40 range just for that balance.
Right.
Otherwise, hey, get in and stop Kodo, and we're going to win this game. And it's nice that Kayla Kodo is not our only offensive weapon, though she's a very good one.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you guys to make another deep run, you're going to need her to, and the rest of your team to play up to the level that they're capable of.
No talk about deep runs, sir. We are worried about Lockport on Thursday night in the sectional quarterfinal. That is a very physical game. Let's just get through Lockport first.
So let's get through Lockport. Let's get through this sectional, and hopefully we'll
Let's just get through Lockport first, sir.
I love your attitude towards this. Good luck with this.
Thank you very much.